Hey, this is Gary with Black Diamond Games. I want to talk about business plans. Uh, a lot of people come to me and they ask about starting a game store, and usually they haven't done the preliminary work of writing a business plan. There's nothing exceptional about a game store that it means that excludes it from having to write a business plan. Business plan provides a lot of the focus on the kind of business you're going to run. So I wanted to talk about what about a game store do you want to include in that business plan that's kind of unique to that. And the first thing, which I think almost nobody does, is an inclusion of your salary. What do you need to make uh, when you start this business? And assume you're going to be doing this for a couple years at this salary level. Build that into your plan. Pay yourself as you go. It's going to mean having startup losses that sit on the sidelines, specifically there just to pay you. That's the thing you need to do. You can't be worried about your personal finances while you're trying to worry about this business, which is hemorrhaging money in the first 12 to 18 months. So build in your salary at first. That's the most important thing. Uh, Next thing is look at that mission statement. What are you trying to do? Are you trying to have a store that has a wide appeal to the public, or do you want a gamer store, a gamer den? The choice of how you're gonna of which one of those you're gonna choose is gonna determine your income. Gamer dens don't make much money because they have obviously less of an appeal. They also have some lower expenses, less advertising, that kind of thing. Where if you want to have a store that appeals to the public, it's going to cost more. You're going to have more income potential, but you're going to spend more on fixtures, advertising. Your inventory is going to be broader. If you can't possibly imagine selling children's games and jigsaw puzzles, you're going to have a difficult time with a store that appeals to the general public, which means you'll have a difficult time making any money doing this. So figure out your mission statement. What are you trying to accomplish? After that, it's going to be an eye opener when this business plan you're writing starts asking what you personally bring to the table. If you have no experience in retail or no experience in the game trade, it shows in the plan. You have to write that in there. And if you have investors or landlords or whoever looks at this plan, it's going to be tough to spin that you don't have any of that experience. So you might want to get that experience. You might want to work retail. You might want to work at a game store. Make sure if you do, you are honest about it, and you're not going to put a store next to your employers, because that's not right. Um, and if you're not going to do that, if you really don't want to do any of those things or can't do those things, look at education. I wrote a series of blog posts that went over all the expenses of starting a store and the capital expenditures and the income projections and all that. And the required capital was six figures, well into six figures. But there were ways to reduce that number, and that was through education. You can bring skills to the table that reduce your capital requirements. And I found about 2 years worth of community college courses that would do that, from business management to accounting to graphic design. When you go to school for business, they don't teach you small business. They assume you're an entrepreneur and you're going to be spending other people's money. You don't get the OPM option in small business. You have to spend your money. Therefore, you need personal skills. You just can't hire those skills out unless you are wealthy and have a bunch of cash. So figure out what you're adding to this enterprise. Um, Once you have all those expenses, well, let's talk about expenses. You need to be brutal about finding all the expenses in this kind of a business. Don't make assumptions. Don't assume your electricity bill will be similar to the store's electricity bill. Ask other store owners. Be relentless about finding expenses, because expenses are how you start putting your projections together. And if you don't have accurate expense data, your business plan, at least from the numbers perspective, is not going to be worth a lot. Okay, so do that. One of the most important things about the plan, the one of the key elements is your unique value proposition. That's what they call it. So you need to have something you're offering that can't be easily replicated by competitors. And this is a problem with most game stores, is that they had such a small barrier to entry that it's now easy for other competitors to continually come in, replicate what they've done, uh, hurt their sales for a couple years, then go out of business until another one pops up. It's this whack-a-mole game. That's because they don't have their value proposition isn't unique, right? What is a unique value proposition? Nowadays, it goes well beyond retail fundamentals and goes into third place theory. So it could be some sort of unique play space. It could be a coffee shop. It could be a number of things that go well beyond you, your inventory, and basic offerings of a game store, right? If you're not going to be unique, if you just think you can do it better, it's not enough because you will always be open to competition, right? So find your unique value proposition, work on that, all right? And the last thing I think is being brutally honest about location, because once you have this business plan written, and I could talk for hours on business plans, obviously, because there's so much in them. Once you have this plan written, you're going to have all these expenses. You're going to have income projections to cover the expenses because you just magically do. All business plans show that they're profitable. But that number of how you hit that profitability is not possible everywhere, right? So you may live in a small town and you may want to run this enterprise of a game store. You have to be honest. You have to do some research and figure out, is it really possible in this small town to pull that off? Or maybe you live in a city somewhere and there's like 10 other game stores. Maybe this is not the place for this. Maybe this is not the best location. So part of the business plan is finding a location, and you do that last because you have to be honest about what kind of income you're expecting from this location. And it might mean you need to move. It might mean you need to commute. I commute 30 minutes to my store. Why? Because where I live is not good demographics or income projections that I need for my business. You may decide, I mean, if you're going to spend 6 figures on a store, you may move far. You may just decide, I want to open a store. This is going to be my life for the next few years. I'm going to move to this underserved community over here. This might be a thing you do. All right, there's so much more to say. If you have any questions, please ask them in the comments. And please share this. I never ask people to do that, but you should share this if you think this would be interesting to someone, especially someone who's about to start a store without a business plan. All right, thanks.